Let's talk about this topic of 2022, the year of belonging. In order to belong, in order to open up to a new level of belonging, one of the keys, one of the most fundamental, essential keys, is allowing yourself to not only give love, which you've all done and you know how to do, but not only to just give love, and then to be vulnerable enough to let yourself receive love from others. It's that giving love and receiving love that creates a synergy that lifts you to a higher octave of being loved. And being loved is essential to belonging, to knowing that you matter, that you're part of this equation, of this jigsaw puzzle. So essential in not only moving forward towards evolving your own reality, but essential in lifting the vibration of those around you, of being a part of the solution of the planet versus part of the problem of the planet. So being loved is very different than just receiving love. Being loved by God, Goddess, all that is your challenge throughout 2022. To understand, how did you get into a place where you resist? And we're going to talk about the resistances today to being loved. And what are the benefits of being loved? So that it can motivate you to understand it's more than just giving and receiving love. It's a higher octave where you are changed, where you function then in a different set called dominion, and where you see and access the wisdom from within. Being loved is an essential part, not just of belonging, but of your spiritual journey, coming home, to returning to your source, and letting yourself evolve to the point of being loved. The benefits of being loved, where you can open up and let yourself move into this new set, where you can take the first step in the journey of belonging, but not just belonging in your little community or with your family and your friends, but belonging in the world of dominion, the world of magic and miracles, the world that is enchanted, where we're all connected as one, to belong in this new set that the caterpillar expands and reaches toward. That begins by understanding the first benefit is your ability to set boundaries with love versus fear. To be able to set boundaries, to say, no, this does not work for me. And to do it in such a way that isn't a defense mechanism, it isn't threatening, but it's done out of love and compassion, where the person who you are setting the boundary with, maybe somebody you've known for many years or somebody you just meet, will respect you and understand you and comply with your boundaries. So the first benefit of being loved is when you function with being loved, you can more easily set boundaries born of love versus fear, and not feel guilty about those boundaries. Not feeling like you have to explain and justify yourself, but to just say, this does not work for me. So the first benefit is to have the ability and the ease and the elegance of setting boundaries for yourself. And when you are being loved, those boundaries aren't rooted in feeling guilty or being defensive or causing conflict. You're not going to come from your ego, but you're going to come from your empowered self that says, no, I need to draw the line here. That does not work for me. And you'll be able to communicate in a way that sets positive boundaries to protect you, to move forward into your future. The second benefit is that when you are being loved by God, Goddess, all that is, and I'm going to talk more about that in detail, but not just being loved by your neighbors and friends, but being loved by life. Because that's what God, Goddess, all that is. God, Goddess, all that is. And that all that is, when you function and allow yourself to not only give and receive love, but to be loved, it eliminates procrastination. It eliminates your ability to procrastinate. It's like, I either do or I don't do. But I don't go into this wishy-washy, oh, I don't know what to do, or I just don't feel like doing it. If you don't feel like doing it, you won't create the reality of having to do it. You'll create a reality of greater elegance. Now, when I say that, I'm not talking about the fashion statement that you're going to start dressing up more elegantly. I'm talking about the scientific statement that elegance is the least amount of energy for the maximum results. The least amount of energy I need to put into the world for the maximum results. That's what elegance is. And so it eliminates that part of you, the negative ego that wants to procrastinate or go into, I'll try, or let me go try this or try it. No, you don't try. You either do or you don't do. See, trying is not real. If I were to say, I'm going to try to pick up my glass of iced tea, no, I'm either going to do it or I'm not going to do it. Trying is just an assuasion. It is the negative ego game that keeps us feeling bad. It's a form of self-punishment. I've talked about procrastination in another previous class. It's a form of self-punishment because every time you procrastinate and you let things pile up, then all of a sudden it all kind of cascades down, and then you have to catch up and you feel bad and you feel guilty and you beat yourself up. That's what guilt does, by the way. It always leads to self-punishment. So when you are being loved, there's no room to procrastinate. So there's no need for it. So that's the second benefit, is that it eliminates procrastination when you're functioning and being loved. The third is that you know that you deserve to have it all. You deserve to be loved, but you deserve to experience abundance and joy and freedom and success and celebration. You know you deserve to be celebrated. When somebody throws a birthday party for you or brings you a lovely gift, you don't feel guilty or, I got to go exchange and give them something. They did something nice for me and I don't deserve it, right? That all goes away. And you deserve. It's not a statement of arrogance. It's a statement of knowing your value and your worth and knowing that you matter. And so do the other people in your life and your reality. So the third benefit to being loved is that you know you deserve. Now, let's break that down just for a moment here, because people say, well, I kind of know I deserve. No, there's an awareness that you deserve. That's the first step, is to be aware that, yep, intellectually I can sit and think, yeah, I deserve. And then you can start to understand it. Yeah, I understand how this fits together. I understand the awareness is just there, the first stage, but now I understand it. But understanding is not enough. Understanding dips from the mind of the intellect into the thinking, into the depth of feeling. And you start to feel more the fact that, yes, I do deserve. But knowing it is living it. Knowing it is living the truth of I deserve. I've always deserved. And when I'm being loved, I let go and heal and mature the parts of me that are riddled in the past, that feel undeserving and unworthy. The unworthiness disappears, and I know I deserved. I deserve all the good in life. And not as, again, an arrogant statement, but as a place of understanding who you are, that you are a divine, empowered, spiritual being. And that's so important. That's so important. The fourth benefit of being loved is that it suspends the negative ego that you have, that we all have. Every human being has a negative ego. But it suspends the negative ego in order for it to heal and mature and become a positive ego. Being loved allows the negative ego, with all of its games, with all of its manipulations, with all of its control, with all of its destructive energy, to be suspended in a bubble of healing, so that it can mature and to grow and to heal and become more empowered, but become more positive in its nature. That's the fourth benefit of being loved. And what I mean by that is, until you let yourself go into this space and place of being loved, you will struggle and wrestle with your negative ego. You try to control it. You try to, maintain it, but it doesn't actually mature it. Being loved allows it to mature, where it no longer tries to sabotage you, where it no longer tries to pull the rug out from underneath you. And that's the fourth benefit of being loved. The fifth benefit is that being loved aligns you quickly aligns you with your empowered future self, your empowered destiny. And to break that down real quickly, everyone has a destiny. Everyone has a destination. And it's not just one destination. And that's so much of what this, quote, evolution of consciousness is all about. Because, as I mentioned previously, that there are two options, basically, where I will ignore and deny my genuine self, my empowered self, my soul and spirit, and continue to feed my ego, which leads to a disempowered future. It leads to a disempowered destination. Or I will choose to grow and to learn and to love and to heal and let go of the past and to awaken to the truth of who I am and to remember that and then align to an empowered destination. So there's always the choice. Am I going to align within a destination of being empowered, or am I going to default? And by not choosing, hear this, by not choosing to grow, by not choosing to evolve, by not choosing to reach and stretch to become more of who you are, you automatically default into the default of being powerless, of being the same old, living in mediocrity and going through the motions without changing because you're afraid and giving your power to your ego. And that leads you to a different future versus to make the choice to change. So, by being loved, it aligns you quickly, aligns you to your empowered future self and your empowered destiny. The sixth benefit of being loved and functioning by being loved by God, Goddess, all that is that it eliminates, like it eliminated procrastination, it eliminates the victim consciousness. It eliminates the martyr, and it eliminates your ability to function out of self-pity. Now, self-pity is a real emotion. It's a real emotion. And it served a purpose in your childhood to numb you to the pain. It's an emotional anesthetic. It numbed you to the pain of your childhood to help you survive and get through childhood. Whatever the pain was for you, depending on how intense that pain was, depends on how much self-pity you probably found yourself, mired in. And often, to a little child, how do they get attention from mother and father? Is to get them to feel sorry for them. Oh, I fell down and hurt myself. Oh, this happened to me. Mother and father comes running, right? To get attention is what love is to a child. And self-pity, unfortunately, is very familiar to our ego. And the ego uses self-pity to manipulate, to control, to do all kinds of things. But the problem is, it's a very low vibration. Self-pity resonates at a very low vibration, meaning that in order to function with self-pity and become a victim or a martyr, which I'm going to talk about more in detail in another segment here. But in order to function there, that means I have to sacrifice my empowered future. It's hard to live a life of abundance and joy and freedom and success and still maintain and function from self-pity. Because self-pity doesn't mix. You can't lift out of self-pity to create success. You have to give up self-pity. You need to move beyond self-pity. And it's been such a habituated teaching that you learned that works to numb pain, but it also works to get attention when you were a child. Now, as adults, as grown-ups, many people still use self-pity to try to manipulate and control people, to get people to feel sorry for them, because they get a cheap hit of feeling loved. Not being loved, but feeling loved, because they got the attention. And when the measuring stick of your ability to love is just getting attention, it's a very immature level of what love is. Because love is more than just being paid attention to. But that's one of the components of love, is to pay attention. Love pays attention to detail. But it's one of the very primal beginnings of what love is. And when you realize, as an ego part of you, realize, well, I get more attention. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. Remember that? The squeaky wheel gets the oil. It's like when things go wrong, I get all this love and attention, or people care and concern. But I need to give that up, because that's only going to keep me stuck in the disempowered self. You cannot create your dreams and hold on to the energy of self-pity. It's like gratitude. The more you feel sorry for yourself, the more reasons you have to feel sorry for yourself. Just like the more grateful and gratitude you feel, the more reasons you have to feel grateful, because gratitude attracts more reasons to celebrate. Likewise, self-pity attracts more reasons to be in misery. So I have to give up self-pity. And when I'm being loved, it eliminates the ability to function in self-pity. You wouldn't want to go there. It's like, why would I want to go? Why would I do that to myself? And you have matured the child and adolescent in you to move beyond it. And now self-pity has two different expressions. Self-pity is a real emotion. But what gets spawned out of it is the ego decides to become a victim. And the victim consciousness is a very low frequency of vibration where you feel powerless, nothing ever happens right, everything comes along, the rug gets pulled underneath you, you have no way to change it, you're completely powerless in your reality. That's what victimhood is. Now, as a child, that was true, right? When you were a little child, you couldn't make choices and decisions, you couldn't take responsibility. You were, in so many ways, going through a stage of being a victim. You couldn't control your parents. You had to deal with what were dealt to you when you were a child. So it was a stage of growth. But as a grown-up that has yet to have the benefit of becoming adult, the grown-up who functions out of self-pity, you are going to live in misery and mediocrity at best, or in self-destruction at worst. Self-pity is a way to numb out all addiction, every addictive response, from overeating to over-relating to overindulging to too much drugs or alcohol. All of it is rooted in self-pity. All of it is. And so being loved eliminates that function of self-pity and lifts you out of being addictive and responding, or reacting, I should say, out of addictive responses. And so self-pity, victim, and then the more sophisticated level of victimhood and self-pity is called martyrhood. And trust me, martyrhood is a major crisis in our world, because religion has taught people to just be martyred. Religion has taught you that that's what love is. The martyred Christ. Oh, look how I've suffered and sacrificed. Look what God did. He gave up his only begotten Son for us to exist. How sacrificing and suffering is that? And so we're taught and conditioned that that's what love is. And it's not. It's not love. Martyrhood is a synthetic version of what the ego has clung to in our society. And martyrs are hostile, passive-aggressive, hostile cowards. What is an expression of martyrhood in our physical world? How does martyrhood play out in our physical world? Terrorism is rooted in functioning out of martyrhood. And terrorism is on the rise on our planet. And they talk about the martyred terrorists, right? They suffered, they killed themselves and blowing up the plane. That's love? No. But you see, the ego that doesn't like to think and feel and make decisions for itself will buy into that crap and believe that's what love is. And then you go around martyring yourself and wondering why your life isn't working. So this sixth benefit is that being loved eliminates you functioning out of self-pity with its various expressions, one called victim and the other called martyr. And I'm going to talk more in detail about that in a minute in another video. But for now, the seventh and final benefit of being loved is that being loved allows you to belong in the world of dominion, but to belong everywhere you go, where you're not just being loved by friends and family and people that know you, but you're being loved by life itself. That's what belonging and being loved allows you to experience, where you belong wherever you go. You feel safe. You feel connected. And you know, hear this, you know that you're at the right place at the right time. Always. That wherever you go, you know you need to be there. And belonging is the seventh of so many more benefits I could go into. But already